Hello again, everybody. Scott Casper for Takedown Wrestling. This special interview brought to you by our friends at Clinch Gear. Find them online at clinchgear.com. Check out Clinch Gear Wrestling. I think you'll be impressed. Well, it was announced yesterday by Buffalo head coach Jim Buechner that he had hired a new head assistant coach. That man, Matt Lackey, a former NCAA national champion for the University of Illinois. He joins us now. Matt, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks, Scott. How are you?
Man, without taking a breath, really, you'll be leaving Lockhaven, heading right to Buffalo, New York, where you'll be begin the role of assistant coach to Jim Buechner. Talk a little bit about the decision. Seems like it came pretty quick.
It did. I think obviously it started with Jim having an opening, and I've known Jim for years. He actually was a coach on a trip I took to Bulgaria when I was in college, one of the NWCA trips, and got to know him really well, and I've had the highest respect for Jim over the years. And when I found out that there was an opportunity to work for a guy like him and what he'd done with the program up in Buffalo, I immediately called him and inquired about the position. And, I think that was probably on a Tuesday. I was up there on Saturday, and, by the following Tuesday, I'm hired. So it was a very quick process, but, it all starts with Jim and my respect for him and what he's done for that program and where they're going. I think it's an exciting time for UB, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Let's put a quarter in the Wayback Machine, if you will. Let's go back to Moline, Illinois. Let's go back to high school. Did you know even then that you wanted to or had any aspirations at all to be a coach? Not really.
I guess to be honest with you, I always wanted to get out of coaching. Wrestling was just something that was part of my life, and I was passionate about it. But when I got out of college, I kind of had aspirations to go try something else. I wanted to expand my horizons, if you will, and I got into sales a little bit, and then I quit that and got back into training, and each and every time I kind of tried to get out of wrestling reached out and grabbed me and pulled me right back in. So I think somebody's trying to tell me something, but I really enjoy coaching, and the best part about it is building relationships with young kids and preparing them for life after wrestling, and there's just nothing like getting on a bus and sitting next to some of your guys and getting to know them and having those special relationships. There's just nothing like it.
I still remember the talk about you out of Moline as you won 2 state titles in Illinois. Was there a natural fit for you in choosing Illinois as a destination as a young man, or was there a tug and a pull from other schools that made it difficult for you to make that decision and eventually go with Mark Johnson?
It's a great story, actually, and I'll try to make it as quick as possible. But Mark is from Rock Island, which is right next to Moline, where I grew up. So we were Quad Cityans. He always calls us the Moline Cake Eaters, and he always says he had it rough over in Rock Island. But yeah.
That sounds like Mark. I'm sorry.
Doesn't it? Yeah. That's one of his favorites, and also he went to a Catholic school, so he said if you went to Allman, you automatically go to heaven. So that's just two favorites. But when he took the job at Illinois, I was probably in 5th grade, and I was at a Moline-Allman football game Friday night, Wharton Fieldhouse, Browning Field in Moline, and my mom and I are walking back from the concession stand, and she sees Mark sitting up in the stands. I really had no idea who he was. I was in 5th grade. I wrestled for a few years. So she goes, "Hey, there's the new coach at Illinois. Let's go say hi to him." So we went up, and to be honest with you, I hardly remember the conversation, but I remember going and saying hi to him and meeting him and going back to our seat and going on with our lives. Well, I got a T-shirt in the mail next week from Mark Johnson. So that's just the kind of guy he was. He did things like that. He recognized people and treated them great, and that's why people love Mark Johnson. And from that point on, I think I was pretty much sold. I started going to his camps, and there's a lot of similar relationships we had. My high school wrestling coach was the best of friends with him. They trained for the Olympics together, so there was just a lot of natural relationships there, and it was a good fit for me.
So even then you became a disciple of Johnson, and then with Johnson you also had the ability to be with a great and future head coach in Jim Heffernan. So these two guys helped to turn your career into what it is today. Even in the face of some question about whether or not you wanted to remain in the sport, you eventually came back to it. I mean, it was a 38-0 senior season. It was a national championship, and then on to compete and wrestle toward the Olympic trials, being a qualifier there. I think you finished fourth in 2008 in the U.S. Senior Nationals as well. So it's been a varied career. But as an assistant coach, I want to go back to what you most recently have done, and that's Lockhaven. The impact you've had at Lockhaven has been one that's been outstanding. I know Robbie Waller has been very, very pleased with your performance. I'm sure very sad for your departure. Was it difficult to tell him of your desire to take this job?
Absolutely. It goes back. I had to keep reminding myself that this decision is the best decision for my family, first and foremost, and the best decision for me professionally. So, I had to kind of keep reminding myself of those things because it is a tough conversation to have. And Robbie offered me an opportunity to get back into wrestling, and it meant a lot to me. I spent about 2 good years there, and I think we did a lot of good things in those 2 years. I don't think you're seeing them quite yet, and there's some talk about what's going on there, but I think the best is yet to come for Lockhaven, and there's 2 real solid recruiting classes there that we brought in, and there's a lot of good kids in those classes. So when they start to make their way into the junior, senior year, and there's a few solid classes underneath that, I think they're going to be right in the mix of winning EWL titles. So I think there's a lot of good things going on, and that program's in very capable hands of Scott Moore and head coach Robbie Waller, and I wish him the best of luck going forward, and I'll be watching closely. Those relationships are mine too, and I'll be pulling for those guys to do well in the future.
Matt Lackey, very generous indeed, former NCAA champion in softball at the University of Illinois, taking a couple years off, coming back to wrestling coaching at Lockhaven. Now, after 2 years, will make his way as the head assistant at Buffalo with Coach Jim Buechner there. Let's talk a little bit about what you will be doing for Coach Buechner. I know it's a family atmosphere there. It's an emotional atmosphere at Buffalo. They've had some trials and tribulations on the personal level with some of the athletes that have been very public. But boy, have they handled it well at Buffalo. And together they've come even closer together because of some of the challenges that they've been faced with. But the administration, to Jim Buechner and to the staff and the athletes, boy, what a group, what a family. Talk to us about that decision.
Well, I took a visit up on Saturday. I was there for Saturday and Sunday and got to meet a lot of different people. And, I think the common theme was that everybody was really supportive in the administration. I talked with Athletic Director Ward for a few minutes, and the first thing he said to me was, "I love wrestling."
Mm-hmm.
So what more can you ask for from an athletic director? He was a football player, played at Michigan, but, in high school wrestled for, I think, just a senior season, but, enough to know it and like it and have a respect for it. And I think, what more could you ask for than having the administration tell you they love wrestling? So it sounds like there's a lot of support there, and that was a common theme. My respect for Jim and his values, I touched on a little bit ago, and I really look forward to learning from a guy as a young coach that's been in the game for a long time. He's very experienced. What he's done is tremendous. He started 16 years ago at Buffalo, and he only had 3 scholarships and one coach. So now they're a fully funded program. They have a national recruiting reach, which is going to be my responsibility. He's going to put me in charge of being the recruiting coordinator for Buffalo, and I welcome that challenge and look forward to bringing in the best and brightest kids that the state of New York has to offer and the country has to offer. So really looking forward to that. But
SUNY Buffalo now will be your home, and Jim Bickner, your boss. And Bickner, I mean, you look at what he has done in 16 years, plus the fact that he was the president of the National Wrestling Coaches Association. I mean, obviously his opinion, his perspective matters to his fellow coaches, and obviously it does and resonates well within the sport of wrestling. You're going to be joined up there by the two daughters, Peyton and Anna, that you and Elisa share. What about housing? When do they move? When does that start? Have you already started looking? How does that work?
Well, Elisa takes point on that. Her favorite pastime is looking at real estate on the internet. So she really enjoys kind of doing that sort of thing. So we've laid the groundwork. We'd love to buy a house. So we're just in the process of looking at lenders, and it will be our first home purchase. So I don't know what I'm doing. so it'll be a challenge, but we can only go as fast as the process will take us, so we might have to spend a little time apart, which will be tough, but all for the better. And once we get settled, things will be good, but the transition will be tough. I'm looking forward to it, but it'll be tough.
Matt Lackey, congratulations on the new position that you'll begin. I believe it's next week, right?
I'm going to spend the second will be my last day at Lockhaven, and then after Labor Day, I will be officially up at Buffalo for good. So it's going to happen real quick.
Beautiful. Well, I'm looking forward to it, man. I know Coach Jim Bickner is as well. He's doesn't rush to decisions, but boy, when he makes them, he's in and he's all in. Coach Jim Bickner will be the recipient of the services of one Matt Lackey. Matt, always good to talk to you. Congratulations on the new position. Can't wait to see the effect you have on the Buffs, man. Good job by you.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it.
For all of us at Takedown Wrestling, this has been a special one-on-one with Matt Lackey. He's the new head assistant for Buffalo, for Jim Bickner as well. I'm Scott Casper. Thanks for listening to this one-on-one.